Many people turned to look at the little group with a touch of tenderness. A chalk-faced woman glowed softly, half smiling as she tried to calm down her lively trio. Two twin boys and a girl a few years older were chatting cheerfully, teasing one another with the ease only siblings can share. When one of the boys shouted some harmless nickname toward the girl, she instantly leapt to her feet and raced after him. It was obvious, she wasn't offended, she simply wanted to run. The other twin immediately joined them, yelling, "Me too! Catch me too!" On that bright, sunny day, they didn't seem to be in any hurry. They were just strolling along the park's alleyway. The children ran ahead, but the girls soon returned. "Mom, come quickly! There's an old lady over there. I think she needs help. She's sitting all alone and crying." The little girl grabbed her mother's hand and tugged her toward the heart of the park. On one of the benches indeed sat an elderly woman. Her coat was clean but moth-eaten in places. On her feet were worn-out slippers, the sole of one nearly falling off. All her clothes were tidy yet badly worn. The woman sat staring into the distance, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Can I help you?" "Did something happen?" asked Olivia, the mother of the three cheerful little rascals. The old lady, as if waking from a dream, slowly lifted her tear-streaked face. "My dear, how could you possibly help me? No one can help me anymore," she said softly. "I'm all alone, no family, no home. Nobody in this world needs me." There was so much pain in her voice that Olivia's heart ached. She sat down beside her and said gently, "Tell me what happened. Sometimes sharing makes it a bit easier." The elderly woman was silent for a moment, as if searching her memories. Then she began her story. In her younger years, Eleanor Brooks had been a well-known and respected figure in her town. For many years she had served as the deputy director, the right hand, as everyone called her, at one of the city's largest factories. Since much of the local population had worked there at some point, everyone knew Eleanor Brooks. People spoke of her with respect. She was strict, but always fair. It was at that very factory that she met her husband. A handsome young man, freshly back from the army, turned her world upside down. At that time, Eleanor had just joined the company after graduating from college and was starting her career as a line supervisor. Love blossomed quickly between them. They had a simple ceremony at City Hall, and for nearly 40 years they lived side by side, devoted and inseparable. Their marriage brought them two wonderful children, first a daughter, and a year and a half later, a son. Their home was always filled with warmth and laughter. Yet somehow, somewhere along the way, the parents missed something important in their upbringing. They realized it too late. After finishing high school, both children left home to live on their own. Nate and Natalie loved a carefree, fast-paced life. They knew perfectly well that as long as they stayed under their parents' roof, they wouldn't be able to live the way they wanted. Eleanor worried constantly about them, but in time, the children seemed to calm down. They each started their own families, and she felt a little more at peace. Still, their selfish attitude toward life didn't disappear. They thought only of themselves, never once offering help to their aging parents. Even when the roof began to leak and the fence sagged, neither offered a hand. Their excuse was always the same: "Sorry, Mom, we're so busy. We'll come someday." When Eleanor's husband fell ill and spent several years bedridden, she took care of him alone. The children didn't even offer to buy medicine. Her husband passed away 8 years ago, and that was the last time she saw either of them. Left alone with her pain and loneliness, Eleanor quietly carried on. Her children rarely called, and when they did, their tone was distant and formal. They asked a few dry questions and quickly hung up, citing no time. She had long since stopped expecting anything more. But about a month ago, something unexpected happened. Her children's behavior suddenly changed. One morning, a car stopped by her old gate. Her daughter Natalie stepped out, carrying 2 grocery bags. "Mommy! Guess who's here?" she called out, her voice unnaturally cheerful. "Your daughter brought you some milk." It was the first time in years she had brought her mother anything, some food and even a few pills. Yet her sudden visit, her exaggerated friendliness, it was clear there was another reason behind it. "What's going on, sweetheart? Why are you here?" Eleanor asked at once. Natalie sighed and began to explain. She and her brother Nate were in serious financial trouble. The banks had stopped giving them loans, too much bad credit. There was only one option left: to sell their mother's house. For the first time in her life, Natalie spoke to her mother in a tender, persuasive voice. "Mom, you're all alone now. You need someone to take care of you, to buy your medicine, cook your meals. Come live with us, you'll have everything you need. You'll be happy." Tears welled up in Eleanor's eyes. The house she and her husband had built with their own hands, they had dreamed of leaving it to their children. But her daughter kept talking, painting a picture of a peaceful, comfortable life. "When you get tired of staying with me," Natalie said brightly, "you can go live with Nate for a while. You'll get to choose where you like it better." She tried to sound playful, but her voice trembled. Deep down, she knew it wouldn't be easy to convince her mother. And yet, somehow, Eleanor agreed. The house was sold. The money was split between the 2 children. Eleanor didn't receive a single cent. It was as if she had never owned the home at all. Whenever she visited her husband's grave, she wept, whispering, "We built and built, and in the end, all our children wanted was money. We never taught them to work, but oh, how much they want." Once the house was sold, Eleanor immediately felt like a burden to her children. She tried to make herself invisible, quiet as water, meek as grass, never interfering in their lives. But that didn't help. The children began to whisper behind her back, arguing over whose turn it was to keep her. Eleanor wasn't a foolish woman, she understood exactly what was happening. She knew it couldn't last. Sooner or later, tired of pretending, they would send her to a nursing home, one of those places for the forgotten and the old. Eleanor Brooks refused to wait for that humiliation. One quiet morning, she packed her few belongings, a small bag was all she had, and left without saying a word, not even knowing where she would go. That same bag now sat beside her on the park bench where Olivia and her children had found her. When the old woman finished her story, Olivia was crying too. She took Eleanor's hand and said softly, "You know, there are no unneeded people in this world. You are needed. I need someone like you. I work every day, and no one's there to help me with these little hurricanes of mine." She laughed through her tears, nodding toward the kids playing nearby. "Our apartment isn't big, but it's full of love. Please come with us." Eleanor hesitated, shy and confused, but Olivia's kindness won her over. And so the 5 of them walked home together, the young mother with her 3 giggling children, and the elderly woman with her small, worn bag. As they walked, Olivia began to talk, almost as if confessing. "You know," she said, "these kids aren't actually mine by birth. Years ago, she had met a kind, charming man named Henry, back when she worked at a small local cafe. Henry had been celebrating his birthday there with his coworkers. From the moment their eyes met, they both felt an instant connection. Later that evening, Henry invited her to dinner and, during their first date, told her he had just gone through a painful divorce. His wife had left, taking nothing with her, abandoning him and their 3 young children. But that didn't scare Olivia. Somehow, she quickly bonded with the little ones. Within just a few months, she and Henry realized they couldn't live without each other. They filed for a marriage license, and the wedding reception took place right in the cafe where Olivia worked, simple, cozy, and joyful. Only their closest friends attended, and the three children shouted "Kiss! Kiss!" louder than anyone else. Henry was a firefighter. One day, during a warehouse fire outside the city, a beam collapsed, trapping him underneath. He didn't survive. Olivia remembered nothing of the funeral. Her world had gone dark. Friends and relatives tried to persuade her to give the children up to foster care, but she couldn't even imagine doing something so cruel. Before his death, Henry had taken out a loan to buy a spacious house for their future. Olivia had no way to pay for it. Within a couple of months, she and the children had to move into her tiny two-bedroom apartment on the outskirts of town. She had no idea how they would survive. The children's mother never appeared again, and Henry had long since terminated her parental rights. Olivia couldn't keep working at the cafe. Shift work meant long nights away, and she couldn't leave the kids alone for that long. So she quit and took a job as a janitor instead, just to be home more often. As they reached the entrance to her building, both women were crying again. Yet something had changed. Their faces seemed lighter somehow, as if tears had washed away years of sorrow. From that very evening, the children began calling Eleanor Grandma Ellie. They treated her like their own, showering her with love.